Hey, everybody, it's Jonah Lupton back again with another episode of the Startup Sense podcast. We have an awesome one for you today, so stay with us. On the phone, we have Dave Hua, although I know he just goes by kind of Hua, so we'll call him Hua today. He is the co-founder of a company called Meadow. They're in the medical marijuana space based in San Francisco. David, how are you?
I'm doing well, Jonah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. So before we start talking about your company and all the cool things you guys are doing, just give us a little background on yourself.
Yeah, so I live in San Francisco, been here for about 10 years. Passionate about startups, charcuterie, and dim sum.
Be honest, how much is your rent in San Francisco? We know it's all expensive, right? Crazy out there?
Yeah, it's pretty expensive. But, I don't have to commute an hour and a half each day, or I don't have to think about a lot of things that comes with living further away and having a cheaper rent. So it's kind of time is worth it for me.
And it's a great city and you're surrounded by awesome people. So that's all part of the equation. Okay, talk to us about Meadow. What exactly does the company do, and when did you guys start it, and what's been happening?
Yeah, so Meadow builds technology within the cannabis industry. We primarily started with the last mile, building software for delivery services, helping them meet patients in an hour or less in delivery. And now we've been moving up the supply chain and working with brick and mortar retailer locations, helping them with POS systems, inventory management systems, patient check-in, and really just alleviating their pain through the tediousness and oftentimes the Frankenstein software that they're using to have an all-in-one solution with Meadow.
Now, I know right now you guys are just focused on California. So talk to us about how big is that opportunity? How many medical marijuana licenses in California, and how many brick and mortar places are, in your wheelhouse?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the California cannabis market is about $2.5 billion or so right now. It's poised to grow to over $7 billion $7 billion in the next couple of years. We're looking at also growth, not just outside California, but nationally. You're seeing, cannabis is one of the fastest growing industries. And for us, though, even though it's growing nationally, we are focused on just California.
Right. I mean, I assume every state kind of has their own regulatory issues that you'd have to battle anyways, right?
I mean, it's not so much of a battle, because we look at legislators and regulators as not as partners, but people that are willing to listen, that are trying to get it right. Well, from what we're seeing in California, I would say I think the harder area is navigating the local landscapes, right? The cities and municipalities, but the state level, they're trying to set a broad framework, and then the local level, because California has a lot of local control, you end up having to really navigate the local side.
Gotcha. So you're helping the brick and mortar stores with all their kind of technology needs, software, some of the shipping, logistics, maybe, I'm not really sure. And then you guys also kind of serve, like the website getmeadow.com. Is that kind of a marketplace where all these stores can sell their product?
Yeah. So it's more of a directory. So if you go to getmeadow.com, you'll find a bunch of collectives that will deliver to a patient within an hour or less, usually. And we service about 51% of California. And patients or people that are not a patient can get an evaluation online through meadowmd.com. So, and appointments there take 15 or 20 minutes. And if you have a number of qualifying conditions, you can get a recommendation and order however you want.
Is that consultation done online?
Yep.
Cool. So they make it pretty easy then. I mean, assuming that you kind of meet the requirements.
Yeah, we make it pretty easy, but we're also just following the trends in other industries. If you look at the telemedicine, it's a huge area that's just that's growing in general. We're just we're just bringing that to cannabis.
So in California, how much would if I had a medical marijuana card, how much would I be able to purchase off the website or off any website?
An ounce.
An ounce. Okay. So an ounce, what, like a week, a month?
I mean, at a time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Some counties will limit the amount of times you can visit a dispensary or whatnot. But an ounce is a lot, man. There's no way you're going to go through an ounce in a day.
Right.
I don't know who you are, but that's a lot. That's a lot.
I'm not an expert in this area, as you can tell, but I mean, It is something I want to learn more about. I kind of have some of my own health issues and sleep issues. So it's something that I've looked into and people have recommended it to myself. And, Massachusetts is starting to get on board with this, so it's something that we're all going to be, maybe the process of getting it will be easier than ever before.
Sleep, insomnia is a huge, can really benefit with cannabis.
Yeah.
We find that people that don't even smoke tend to just eat edibles. And if you time it right, maybe in a half hour before you go to sleep, you'll stay asleep longer. And you're not going to be as tired when you wake up.
Yeah, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to turn to pharmaceutical drugs to help me sleep.
Oh yeah, that's the worst, man.
Right. So
it sounds, it just you get really tied to it, and then you have to take more.
So talk to us about, now you guys are a Y-Combinator company, probably the premier accelerator out there. When did you guys go through Y-Combinator? I guess, how did you get in? And then, how have you grown the business since?
Well, there's a lot of questions to unpack there. Okay. We got in to Y-Combinator winter 2015 with a fantastic cohort of companies and entrepreneurs. We graduated, I guess it was April, March-ish of 2015. Since then, we've transitioned from the directory side to more of a SaaS solution. So meadowplatform.com is what we're building for a lot of dispensaries and collectives in California. And, I guess we're staying close to our partners and trying to solve their problems through technology.
Now, on the technology side, will you be able to sell that software to dispensaries in other parts of the country?
Potentially, if the right side looks, similar, right? The Colorado and Washington and Alaska and a lot of these states have very different laws. So you'd have to customize the system to account for that compliance. And some of it is a little overbearing, I would say. Whereas in California, we're kind of building from the ground up now.
Gotcha. No, I mean, like any other kind of marketplace or directory, as you call yourselves, you have to acquire customers on both sides, right? So you guys have to acquire the dispensaries for the platform, and then you also have to acquire, the customers or the people with the cards, right?
Yeah, yes and no. I would say that, I guess you're talking about having enough supply of dispensaries and then having enough demand through patients, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I would say for us, we don't really do much marketing. We're still focused on product. A lot of our growth comes from word of mouth. Believe it or not, people really like the service and they tell people about it. It's awesome for us. And I think going through Y-Combinator, one of the things that we're taught is to focus on creating something that people want. And oftentimes it's better to cater to, 100 devoted customers than, 1,000 mediocre ones.
Right. Definitely. Are there any stats out there that tell you what percentage of people have a card and could be a customer? I mean, is it 1 out of 100? Is it 1 out of 1,000? I have no idea.
I don't either, really, because the medical records are private,
Gotcha.
So they're not public for use. But I would say the number of qualifying conditions is pretty open. And what we found is cannabis can be really helpful for a myriad of issues. Anxiety, depression can be a good use. People that just want a little bit more of a creative boost, we've seen work really well. Migraines is surprisingly really helpful. And you can just take a tincture distilled and, ingest it without you having smoking.
Right.
People with cancer, fibromyalgia, HIV, I mean, it's all across the board. So when you talk about potential patients, I'd probably look at the number of patients that have these conditions that can look at really helping them have a better life.
This is Jonah Lupton, founder of the Lupton Group and host of the Startup Sense podcast. Are you struggling to find the right tech team to build your company's website or mobile app? Maybe you've developed a product but need help with your go-to-market strategy, including branding and marketing. Well, stop worrying, because my team at the Lupton Group can assist you with all of those needs. We specialize in helping entrepreneurs and startups of all sizes launch and grow their businesses. For a free consultation, you can email me at jonahlupton@gmail.com or visit our website at luptongroup.co. I think one of the most remarkable videos I saw recently, it was on Facebook, and I think it's gone pretty viral since then, is an older gentleman suffering from Parkinson's who got, shaking, tremors, and then they gave him a little bit of THC or whatever it is, and he just calmed
CBD.
down. Okay. So he could shake. I mean, the shakes were gone. The tremors were gone. He was like a completely different person afterwards.
Yeah. Sanjay Gupta has done a lot of work highlighting, kids with epilepsy as well. So Parkinson's, epilepsy, we're just scratching the surface on what cannabis can really do for patients.
What is the future of this industry? I mean, does anybody, I guess it's kind of hard to quantify, right? Because it is such a new industry. I mean, is there any way to know where it might be in 5 or 10 years in terms of size?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely estimates, right? They're talking about a $20 billion market that's going to grow to in the next handful of years. I would say, I think it's almost for us, we started as part of a movement, right? This has been growing for a while. And originally you'll find that's been always about patients' rights and safe access and, really decriminalizing something that is one of the most safe substances on the planet, right? You can't even overdose on cannabis. Whereas you look at the opioid epidemic or alcohol. So, what I'd like to see is open access for anyone that wants it or wants to consider using it for medical. I'd like to see it open on adult use side as well, within a framework that provides economic benefit to small producers, where you're not necessarily encouraging big monolithic companies to tackle this. I believe that we can create a lot of jobs through cannabis all across the supply chain. There's a ton of innovation that needs to happen. And I think that it'd be really great to see this not just nationally rolled out, but globally. And there's already some countries ahead of us looking at legalizing it, for their entire country.
You think we'll get to the point someday where it's legal on a federal level in the U.S. and it's just kind of the same rules apply to all states, or is it, you think it'll?
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, why not? I mean, you have to be the change you see in the world, right? That's Gandhi, and I think that that's one of the reasons why we're doing this. We really believe that by democracy starts a lot at the state level, local level. And, in this case, we got to convince the federal government that what they're doing is untenable. The war on drugs is a complete failure.
It is.
We've wasted tons and tons of millions of billions of dollars. We've jailed more citizens than any other country, percentage wise, and wasting a ton of money on these private prisons. And we've treated this as a criminal issue versus a mental health issue, right? It just doesn't work.
Right.
So what I would say is there needs to be a change, because we can't afford to be spending so much fighting something that shouldn't be, in that arena.
Well, it's a political issue too. I mean, you have those, the big pharmaceutical companies with, you know, some of the most powerful lobbyists in the world, in Washington, fighting to keep medical marijuana, to keep you guys down so they can keep pumping the public, with their drugs. So a lot of money on the line. And then, one of the reasons I'm for the legalization of marijuana is just the tax revenue that it creates. Colorado and some of the states that have been at the forefront, have created tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in additional tax revenue for the state. Is that's a big part of it as well, right? I would think in California, you guys are going to have to pay taxes once you're profitable, correct?
Oh, everyone. The question isn't about whether people want to pay taxes. I think a lot of people within the industry want to pay taxes. The problem is there's no banking really. You're really paying the Board of Equalization in cash.
What do you mean there's no banking? You guys obviously have to open up bank accounts, right? Because you're
but we don't touch the plant, right? We're technology service.
Right,
so,
right.
Other operators have problems getting a bank account, and so they oftentimes are dealing in cash.
Oh, so, I gotcha. Okay.
Even if it's all cash, we're expected to get $1 billion in taxes in California.
Wow.
That's crazy, right? Within the next 5-10 years when this market matures. But ideally it's not in cash.
Think about what that'll do for the healthcare systems, the education systems. That's a huge difference maker for the state. So, where is all this stuff grown? Everything that's sold through your website, is that all grown in California?
Yeah.
And across how many different farms? Or do most dispensaries have their own farms, or are they partnering with the farmers? I don't know. Talk to me about kind of how that works, how it gets from the farm to the dispensary.
Yeah, it's all across the board. Some dispensaries have their own cultivation, but they can't grow everything. So you'll often find them working with farmers that grow in Northern California, Mendocino, Humboldt, Trinity, Sonoma, Santa Cruz, Monterey. There's cultivation sites across the state.
Okay.
So people have to round out their menu with the right genetics and strains for their patients.
And how do you guys make money? Are you guys charging for the software, or are you making a transaction fee?
Yeah. So we make money based off of kind of like Grubhub model, percentage off the sale on the directory. And then on the SaaS side, we have a metric called active patients. So how well we're helping them, basically have transactions with their patients.
Okay. And you guys, how big is the team right now at Meadow?
There's 10 of us.
Okay. And 4 co-founders?
Yep.
All from Penn State, right?
We are.
So how did you guys all, knew each other from college, and then you just stayed in touch after college, and then at some point got together and started working on this?
Pretty much, yeah. We all really worked together at a company called Sincerely, and that Sincerely actually started by another Penn Stater, Matt Brzezina. We worked together there. The company eventually was sold, and everyone kind of went their separate ways. But then we got back together and just really wanted to work together on something. And I'm fortunate enough to have found such an amazing group, because startups are hard, and it's great to have co-founders that we can all rely on and trust and have a great relationship. And I think Penn Staters are awesome people. They've come out, and everyone's pretty open, and it's a great community and shared values.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends that went to Penn State, and they always rave about how good the alumni network is. That people are very supportive of one another.
Yeah.
So you guys have some pretty kick-ass investors. It's Slow Ventures, obviously Y-Combinator. I think you have some angels like David Lee and Justin Kahn and Hiten. How did you find all of them? Were these previous friends of yours, or did you guys find them through Y-Combinator or some other path?
Both. I mean, all across the board. No means is Y-Combinator the only source of fundraising. A lot of these people are also just been in my network for a while, and you end up talking about what you're up to, and people are interested in supporting. And that's what I love about being out here in San Francisco or Silicon Valley. People like to pay it forward. Right. And they see entrepreneurs and they see problems that they're tackling and the potential of that impact, and they're willing to put not just another investment behind it, but also the resources that they have at their disposal. And I'm so grateful, and the rest of the team is too, that we have people like the ones you've mentioned that are willing to put their dollars and put their reputation along the line of, and we take that really honorably and try to do our best to represent that well.
I'll put you on the spot here. What's the single best piece of advice you've gotten from any of those investors so far?
I want to quote Justin Kahn, because he's like a brother from another mother. He says, survive and you will thrive. Right. And I think that goes to a testament to a couple things. One, keeping burn low, really not spending and overspending. Continue to build a product that gives you runway, so that as time passes on, other companies that are in it will die because of suicide, and then you continue to keep moving forward, building out the company that you have. And also, it's a testament that things take time. Startups, take a lot of time. So if you're in it for the long run, which we are, you'll be there, standing, as all this stuff shakes out.
Right. I mean, I think that's great advice, and it goes back to what me and you talked about in the pre-call. Was I asked if you guys were planning on expanding outside of California, and you said right now you're really focused on California. You want to lock down that market, which I think makes sense. I think there's a lot of companies out there that grew too fast and basically just burned all their cash, and now they're out of business.
Yeah, man. Cash is very important. You have to look at every dollar you have as maybe the only dollar you're going to get, especially for fundraising. The market's changed so dramatically, and it's really important to be frugal, and look at the right way and how you're spending that money and your resources.
Talk to us about, right now you're a team of 10. 4 of them are co-founders. The other 6 people, how did you find them? How did you guys hire them?
Within our network.
Okay.
Yeah. Either friends of friends or people that we've known.
And how many people do you think you'll add to the team over the next 12 months?
I don't know. I think I'm pretty happy with the team that we have now. I think it's more about, are the challenges that we are facing need more headcount, or can we become a more highly leveraged team?
What would you say is your number one challenge? The thing that keeps you up the most at night?
I sleep pretty good. I mean, I don't.
Well, because I know you're using it to help sleep. I need that too.
Yeah, I sleep pretty well. I mean, I would say one of the biggest challenges, learning really quickly and iterating really quickly. I think that for all startups, you really need to have a pulse on having a high velocity of learning and execution. So, and not get too bogged down in, taking too long to figure that out.
Right.
And so, it's not just a challenge for me. I bet it's for everybody. But that discipline and figuring that out is something that we often constantly have to revisit.
Looking back to the start of Meadow, what was one mistake that you wish you could go back and kind of do over?
One mistake that we could do over. We launched a product called it was almost like Meadow massage. You could get a masseuse to come to you to give you a cannabis massage with like lotions and salves.
Sounds cool.
It's great. I mean, it's amazing because it really helps you relax your muscles, and it's, you know, the masseuses we were working with were super attentive and making sure that you know, it helps you out. But it was one of those things that was an experiment that we just wasted time on because we thought it'd be, you know, helpful. What we should have done is just continue to double down onto what we knew was working, instead of try to expand into a whole nother product.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I would say focus, even though it may sound like a cool idea, it probably isn't. Yeah, especially for small teams.
Yeah, right. It's hard to get to, you know, it's hard to stay focused all the time. I mean, you naturally get distracted by opportunities that you think might be good for the company, and you know, sometimes you have to, you know, take a chance on them.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't know.
If you could
relook at.
If you could be mentored by anyone out there, any entrepreneur, who would it be? Is there a particular entrepreneur
Elon?
that you look up to? Elon? Okay.
That's like probably top up there for sure. You know, I'd really love to get Jeff Bezos. I think I'd be curious to see how, you know, he would apply what we're doing in you know, into cannabis. I mean, there's a lot. Warren Buffett would be great. I mean, woof, a lot of heavy hitters out there.
Yeah, Elon and Jeff are definitely the two most common responses to that question. Is Amazon in the cannabis space at all yet?
I think you can buy a grinder off of there.
Okay, that's about it though.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess since they're such a national company, I can see where it's trickier for them to get into things like that. You know, you guys can kind of focus on local first. And then just kind of a couple last questions to wrap up. Do you have a favorite piece of software that you use every day, you know, to help run the company better?
Yeah, I mean, we use Slack.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of other companies are using Slack. That's been really helpful to us.
Everybody loves it. I've actually never even used it yet because I haven't had an occasion, but it's a fan favorite for sure.
Yeah, it's something. I just love the GIF integrations. That helps communicate. Communication's key. So having just a nice portal where everyone can talk is helpful.
Is your entire team in one office?
Yeah.
Okay. So nobody works remote, or at least not full time.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think remote teams are great and it's doable, but for us, we just work better when we have a collaborative environment where those circumstances or situations arise with just collaborative workflow. It just helps.
This is actually a question. This is a question I've never asked before. I'm not sure why, but at what point do you guys have your own dedicated offices, or are you guys in a co-working space?
No, it's a dedicated office.
Okay. At what point did you guys, you know, decide it was, you know, worth spending the money on a dedicated office instead of just co-working? Like, was it after Y-Combinator or after?
We bootstrapped for probably over a year.
Okay.
Just working out of my apartment and my co-founder's apartments. And eventually we were like, we can't fit everybody in this place. So we had to get an office. Yeah, that was pretty much it. We needed more space, and we wanted to make sure we found the space to work together. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's a good reason. When you can't all fit into one apartment, it's time to get some dedicated space.
Yeah.
And kind of last question, what does your typical day look like? Are you an early morning riser, or?
Yeah, I mean, I wake up probably around 5:30 a.m. My 8-month-old usually is my alarm clock. So she's up, then I hang out with her probably till about 7. And then again to work around 9:30. Meet with the team. Usually talk to a lot of partners, figuring out how we can do better for them. Wrap up the day. Go home, see my wife and my kid, and, you know, do some more work, hang out a little bit, go to sleep.
Cool. I mean, you kind of got a similar start in the business world as I did. Out of college, you went to go work for the Wall Street banks. You did finance, so that was kind of the corporate world. What advice would you have for someone else that kind of started on that path out of college? They needed a salary, so they kind of went the corporate route. And then, so what advice would you have for them on how to, finally get out of the corporate world and kind of chase the entrepreneurial dream?
Sure. I would say one of the most helpful pieces of advice that I got early on, you kind of look at your life into different segments. And I would say your 20s, you're more focused on learning. Your 30s, 50s are kind of earning. And then your 60s on are like returning. So, someone out of college, I would say find places where you can really learn as much as possible with a group of people that are willing to invest in you and take the time to think about that career development. I think that's super important. Get as much responsibility as possible, put as many tools in your toolbox, build your network, make mistakes. I think that's super important. And then as you've learned the mistakes, maybe on someone else's dime, and contributed to teams, know how and best you fit within teams, go and start your own thing, or, find companies that really resonate to a higher purpose that you really want to contribute and make an impact in.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then when you're older, give back. I think it's really important to give back.
What give back in what way? I mean, like mentoring?
Time, mentoring, financially, anything. Pay it forward. There's a lot there, and helping other generations to do that, or bridging generations.
Totally agree. I mean, that's one of the reasons I want to do the podcast is bring on guys like you so you can share some of this advice and some of the lessons you've learned, and in a way kind of give back to these aspiring entrepreneurs that are the next generation of, job creators and whatnot. So with that, man, I really want to thank you for coming on. I like what you guys are doing. I wish I lived in California so I could be a customer, but at least I learned a lot on this. Any parting words for you?
Hey, I just want to say thank you. And for everyone that's listening, keep at it. Love what you do. Love the people that you work with. And a lot of the stuff takes care of itself. Just, and keep learning. That's super important.
What's the best way for people to find you? Should they, if they have any questions, they want to learn more about Meadow, go to the website, Twitter? What's the best way to track you guys down?
Yeah, all the above. We're around and everywhere.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put all the links and whatnot, Twitter handles in these show notes, so people can certainly find you and follow you. And just want to thank you, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it. I want to wish you continued success, and feel free to come back anytime and give us some updates.
Awesome. Thank you.
You got it, man. Take care, Hua.
Bye.